Imagine being buried alive in a pitch-black stone tomb, sitting in the lotus position, unable to move. You have a single bamboo tube bringing you air, and a small brass bell in your hand. Every morning, you ring that bell just to tell the people above ground, "I am still breathing." And then, one day, the bell goes silent. This was not a medieval punishment or a brutal execution. It was a choice. Between the 11th and 19th centuries in the freezing mountains of northern Japan, dozens of Buddhist monks did not just accept death. They spent years methodically mummifying their own bodies while their hearts were still beating. The practice is called Sokushinbutsu, and the science behind how they pulled it off is far darker than the myth. In ancient Egypt, mummification happened after you died. Priests removed your organs, packed your body with salts, and wrapped you in linen. Japanese monks did the exact opposite. They turned their living bodies into their own embalming fluid. It started with a brutal 1,000-day diet called Mokujikigyo, literally, tree eating. For nearly 3 years, monks completely cut out rice, wheat, and soy. They ate nothing but tree bark, pine needles, wild berries, and toxic nuts found in the forest. Why? Because bacteria and maggots need 2 things to consume a corpse: body fat and moisture. By starving their bodies down to pure bone and muscle, they forced their metabolism to burn every single drop of fat. They were essentially skin and bone skeletons before the real horror even began. Getting rid of fat was not enough. You still had moisture, bacteria, and parasites waiting inside your gut. So, the monks introduced their secret weapon, Urushi tea. Urushi is the sap of the Japanese lacquer tree, the exact same toxic chemical compound found in poison ivy. Today, it is used to make glossy, waterproof wooden bowls. Back then, the monks brewed it into a concentrated tea and drank it daily. The tea was pure poison. It caused intense vomiting, profuse sweating, and rapid dehydration, flushing the last traces of fluid out of their cells. More importantly, it saturated their internal organs with natural preservatives. The toxins built up so heavily in their tissues that after death, even insects and parasites could not touch their flesh without dying instantly. They were turning their internal organs into living, toxic wood. Once the monk's body was essentially a walking shell of lacquer and bone, the final ritual began. He would climb down into a cramped underground stone box, barely large enough to sit upright. His followers lowered a heavy stone slab over the top, sealing him completely in the dark. Through that single bamboo reed, air came in. Every morning, the monk would ring his bell. Days passed. Sometimes, weeks. Eventually, the bell stopped ringing. The followers would remove the bamboo tube, seal the tomb completely, and walk away. 3 years and 3 months later, they returned to break open the stone. If the body had decomposed, it was buried with quiet respect. If the body had decomposed, it was buried with quiet respect. He was pulled from the earth, dressed in silk robes, and worshipped as a living Buddha. To modern minds, this sounds like pure madness. But to these monks, Japan was being torn apart by brutal famines, plagues, and endless war. They believed that by enduring the ultimate physical agony, their preserved spirits could act as permanent guardians for their suffering people. Out of hundreds who tried, only around 24 successfully completed the process. Today, their bodies still sit quietly in remote mountain temples across Yamagata, eyes closed, hands folded, preserved by nothing more than pure will and toxic sap.